Hi guys, this is Breaker, and I'm back with another replay that I took from the front page of Drop. Well, not from the front page of Drop.sc. Actually, a friend emailed me with this one and said, "Hey, Breaker, you want to cast this for me?" And I was like, "Sure, yeah, why not?" But unfortunately, you guys are reading a bunch of Chinese text right now because I couldn't load up the, I guess you could say the westernized client, if you will. It looks like I've turned off the music by accident. Gonna turn it back on. But in the lower left-hand corner, spawning as our Zerg player, it's FXO's Lucky. In the upper left, spawning as our yellow Protoss, Thias. And that's just short for Matthias, if I'm not mistaken. And the map that we're on today is going to be Bel'Shir Vestige. Quite the, I guess you could say, normal size map. A little reminiscent of Ohana LE, but I think it does almost no good for me to mention that map, as it is basically just, what's the word I'm looking for? It's so far back, like Wings of Liberty. It feels like that was years ago we were playing that. But this is now a Heart of the Swarm map. And, of course, aside from the bumpy terrain, which makes for some rather interesting engagement points, there is also the positioning of the bases to worry about. This opens up a lot of potential for drop play, a lot of potential for muta play as well, especially if you can hit that window of opportunity or that little timing where your opponent doesn't have that, what's the word I'm looking for, that mobility, the blink stalkers, the of course, if you're Protoss throwing a bunch of zealots away in a warp prism at your opponent, that would of course mean speedy warp prism. But the game's starting to shape up, as we do see Lucky going for a single spawning pool, and he might be throwing down an expo soon, maybe not. And Thias here is just setting a probe there in quite the ordinary fashion, just seeing whether or not he can throw down a pylon to block, or whether or not he should. He's got his own Nexus going down first at home, and that's going to be it. But this is something that I like coming from Lucky. It's actually something that IDiI did back in the day. But is that probe going to live? Is it going to live? Yes, it is going to live. With no pylons thrown down. Okay. And of course, Lucky here can see with his Overlord that his opponent's going to be just making a Forge Fast Expo kind of opener. And what he can basically interpret from all of this is essentially, what's the word I'm looking for? He can interpret that this is essentially going to result in potentially a 2-base all-in. Most likely, that is, you know, it's the trend. It's the standard with the Forge Fast Expand opener. At least that's the way it was in the Wings of Liberty days. Probe gets out. Will it or will it not get home, though? That is the question. I'm not too worried about that for the time being. Meanwhile, the SimCity not quite fully made just yet, and I think the probe is actually trying to buy for some time in that regard, if you will. But this is interesting. We got 5 Lings altogether out on the map. That's, I don't know how to feel about that, aside from the fact that it's going to produce map control, of course, for one of our players or another. Ling's going to work on that pylon, and they're going to try and force a cancel. The cannon's not ready to go yet, and ouch, that cancel doesn't happen. So that's actually 100 minerals lost. 150 minerals lost, actually. That's, you know, I mean, altogether though, I mean, if you just want to just examine it for a quick moment, that was a little more larva than what was necessary to be spent on Lings, but altogether I'm not the Grandmasters League Zerg player, so I'm not going to criticize Lucky too harshly here, so I want to say excellent play by both players thus far. Behind this, no Deviant Tech Ups just yet, but of course we're waiting for that Cybernetics core to finish, then we can determine just what it is that we're going to see Matthias going with. Chronoing out the... Okay, he's chronoing out the Warp Gate tech, so that could mean some forward gateway pressure, then perhaps maybe a Twilight Council getting thrown down, and then extending things into a 3rd base. Mothership core just pops out. Of course, Thias has seen the 3rd base. He knows it's there. But he loses the probe that he sent to scout it. He's got +1 ground attack on the way. And he's not quite making anything else in the way of infrastructure just yet. This is a little bit scary. No gas is taken either. double gases at the natural for Lucky, and I'm thinking we're going to see a height, basically the height or the climax of action in this somewhere around the 8-minute mark, but I can't say with certainty. I just can't. But I mean, just given the fact that we have, you know, Chrono Boost going to Warp Gate Tech essentially, I think this could be maybe some kind of a 3-gate pressure into a third base, 4-gate pressure into a third base, excuse me. But honestly, I'm thinking, you know, it's kind of difficult to say. And Lucky, he knows it's a little difficult to say, even from his perspective, even from a caster's perspective, seeing everything that we have here, knowing everything that we have here, having scouted everything that we have here, it's just so difficult to tell just what our Protoss is trying to do. Meanwhile, it looks like these Lings are coming back around. They have spotted that pylon? No, they have not. Okay, they have now. Jeez. Now, there's a lot of Lings out on the map. Metabolic Boost is only about halfway done now, but so far, if you want to ask me who's got the, you know, who's going to be able to hold this, it's going to be Lucky. But at the same time, we see Thias sending a small group of Zealots to the natural. The third's going to be pretty exposed here, and that forces a recall, saving a single Zealot with just 1 HP. Not really too much in the way of workers killed, but this does force units, a few, from Lucky, and that's about it. Lucky just got, actually, he just got so far ahead of Thias right there. He knew what was up. He knew what to do. So, looks like we're going to have Thias continue with a Robo. And that seems to be it for the time being, but I can't say with certainty. Double gas is at the main for Lucky, and he's not putting any workers on it just yet. That's just one slight mistake. And if we check the mineral income, he's got a lead. It's not too terribly disturbing. And pardon me if my voice sounds a little bit creaky. I just woke up maybe an hour ago or so. So, yeah. But here we go, the third getting established now, and interesting, Immortals coming into the mix. I think this is a very interesting choice given the amount of things we have out on the map, but of course, Roaches are going to be quintessential to the mid and possibly late game for our Zerg player, who is now already about 30 supply ahead. That's the sound of my iPhone actually getting plugged into the into my computer right now, because actually I've had it plugged in for about 10 minutes in game time, but I couldn't connect to the Taiwan and Korea server or the Western client because I needed the Battle.net authenticator. So yeah, since my iPhone's battery was dead, I just couldn't use it. Third base getting established for Thias. Lucky, if we check what he's doing in the background now, yeah, he's going for +1. He's a glial reconstitution on the way. Ah, there it is. That's what he's doing. The Spire. The Mutilus transition. That's actually quite quintessential. He's going to need that, more or less. I mean, once we stop and examine what Thias has here, it's just a few gateways. He's not ready to go. His anti-air is gonna suck when those mutas hit, and Robo is the last school of tech that you want to use versus mutas in Starcraft 2 or this one, because nothing out of a Robo shoots up. So it's basically all the good it's going to do, and I think, you know, Thias, he might be slightly aware of it, and Lucky's just looking for a good engagement point. He's getting a bit of a double-pronged attack going here. As you can see, the third is under a lot of pressure. Not quite killing any gateways, though, so that's alright, but at the same time, these Roaches have managed to break through what was initially the forge at the natural. They don't have Burrow, to the best of my knowledge. No, they do not. And it looks like Thias, he's kind of bleeding right now. I mean, you know, he's on the ground, he's getting strangled, and he's trying to do whatever he can to hold his ground here. Our Toastus pylon just got taken down, and the third is taking another string of harass from a few Roaches. And beyond that, mutas are now in production. So, I mean, I think we see Thias on some extremely limited time here in the near future. He hasn't lost too much in the way of workers, amazingly. Lucky's gotten about 9 kills to this point, but the third, the main, they both fall. Oh man, even just barely right there. I mean, look at that one roach, like stuck in the sea of force fields, but this is it. It looks like Lucky's gonna be sending in this little flock of mutas, and that's basically gonna finish off this Nexus. Even though he didn't initially kill it, it's just like, well, okay, I'm here to finish the job, and he says, GG Wep. Because I guess GG well played is too classy. Alright, so if you guys liked what you saw here today, just go and click on the subscribe button. This is Breaker. I'll see you guys next time.